Hello and welcome to Mastermind with me, Clive Myrie. In the spotlight tonight are Lynn Anslow, a retired chartered surveyor whose specialist subject is the Inspector Morse novels by Colin Dexter. Joe Pugh, an office manager. He'll be answering questions on the 19th century King William IV. Claire Filer, a solicitor whose subject is the films of Richard Curtis. And Will Vince, a data analyst, his specialist subject, the Quaker businessman and social reformer Joseph Rowntree. Our four contenders have nerves of steel, or so they hope. No wilting wallflowers here, but you see the problem is the ticking clock. There's the spotlight, and of course there's the black chair. All the preparation in the world may not be enough to battle the nerves, but I don't see fear in their eyes, I see confidence. 2 minutes of questions on their chosen specialist subject and 2.5 minutes on general knowledge await. So for a place in the semi-finals, can we have our first contender, please? Your name?
Lynn Anslow.
And your occupation?
Retired chartered surveyor.
And your chosen specialist subject?
The Inspector Morse novels.
Yes, the series of detective novels by Colin Dexter, set mainly in Oxford. In 2 minutes, starting now, which novel is the last in the Inspector Morse series and takes its title from a verse in a poem by A.E. Housman that's found at the beginning of the book?
The Remorseful Day.
Yes, in Death Is Now My Neighbour, Morse says that his father's greatest hero in life was which 18th century explorer about whom his father had read everything ever written?
Captain James Cook.
Yes, in Last Seen Wearing, the teenager Valerie Taylor, who goes missing, is a pupil at which school?
Roger Bacon, Comprehensive.
Yes, although Morse drives a maroon Jaguar in later reprinted novels, in the earlier books he drives what other make of car? The faithful old vehicle being described as powerful, reliable and 300 miles on a full tank.
Lancia.
Yes, an important clue in Death Is Now My Neighbour is a list of 4 sets of initials, AM, JS, DC and CB. The initials JS are taken to be those of which senior fellow at Lonsdale College, Oxford?
Julian Storrs.
Yes, in Last Bus to Woodstock we learned that since the death of a particular real-life crossword setter, Morse had found few composers to please his taste. What was the setter's pseudonym?
Pass.
Service of All the Dead is divided into 4 parts, the 4th and final part having what title?
Pass.
In The Silent World of Nicholas Quinn, what's the title of the film showing at Studio 2 on the day of Quinn's murder?
Sex in Copenhagen?
No, The Nymphomaniac. In Last Bus to Woodstock, the letter addressed to Jennifer Colby, but intended for her flatmate Sue Widowson, appears to be carelessly typed, but in fact the missing letters convey what 2-word phrase?
Meet me.
No, say nothing. In The Secret of Annex 3, Sergeant Lewis is described as a thick-set, slightly awkward-looking man with a gluttonous partiality to what dish?
Egg and chips.
Yes, in The Dead of Jericho, Morse draws a parallel between the death of Anne Scott and that of which queen in ancient Greek mythology?
Pass.
Morse's first 2 years as an undergraduate, I've started so I'll finish, at which Oxford College are described as the happiest and most purposeful of his life, although he went on to fail his degree.
St John's.
Yes, it is St John's College. And Lynn, you had 3 passes. Morse draws a parallel between the death of Anne Scott and Queen Jocasta. Service of All the Dead is divided into 4 parts, the 4th and final part having the title The Book of Revelation. And Last Bus to Woodstock, in it, the crossword setter pseudonym is Ximenes. And at the end of that round, Lynn, you've scored 7 points. And our next contender, please. Your name?
Joe Pugh.
And your occupation?
Office manager.
And your specialist subject?
King William IV.
The King of the United Kingdom from the House of Hanover, who reigned from 1830 till 1837. In 2 minutes, starting now. Prince William Henry was the 3rd son of the reigning monarch George III and Queen Charlotte, after George and which other older brother?
Frederick.
Yes. In 1782, George Washington authorised a plot proposed, though never carried out, by Colonel Ogden to kidnap William while he was stationed as a midshipman in which city?
New York.
Yes. What was the name of the first lieutenant on board Pegasus, William's first command, who came into regular conflict with the prince and eventually requested his own court-martial?
Isaac Schomburg.
Yes. What was the name of the courtesan whom William installed in Ivy Lodge, Richmond, who eventually left him, reportedly because she couldn't stand another evening of his reading aloud from The Lives of the Admirals?
Polly Finch.
Yes, in May 1789, William was made Duke of Clarence and St Andrews, and given what other title from the Peerage of Ireland?
Earl of Munster.
Yes, William was at which residence when he was informed of the death of George IV, and that, consequently, he'd just become king?
Bushy Park.
Bushy House, I'll accept that. Which actress with whom he went on to have 10 children did William describe as one of the most perfect women in this world?
Dora Jordan.
Yes. William's unusually shaped head, often compared to a pineapple or a coconut, saved him from injury due to the heavy padding in his hat when someone threw a stone at him at which racecourse in 1832?
Derby.
No, Ascot. Which practice did William claim would abolish the influence of fear and shame and would be inconsistent with the manly spirit and the free avowal of opinion which distinguished the people of England?
Pass.
In 1837, when the king realised he was dying, he asked his doctor to try to tinker him up to last out until the anniversary of which battle?
Waterloo.
Yes, which position revived specifically for William in 1827 was he forced to resign from because of clashes with his council and because he went to sea with a squadron of ships for 10 days without telling anyone where he was going?
Lord High Admiral.
Yes, what was the name of the widower of William's niece, Princess Charlotte, whom he supported as the candidate for the throne of Belgium in 1831?
Leopold.
Yes, it was King Leopold I. So, Joe, you had one pass. The practice that would be inconsistent with the manly spirit and the free avowal of opinion that distinguished the people of England is the secret ballot. And at the end of that round, Joe, you've scored 10 points.
Thank you.
And our next contender, please. Your name?
Claire Filer,
And your occupation?
solicitor.
And your specialist subject?
The films of Richard Curtis.
The films of the renowned screenwriter, producer and director born in 1956. In 2 minutes, here we go. In The Tall Guy, the American actor Dexter King appears in a London musical that has what single-word title?
Elephant.
Yes, at Carrie's wedding, to Hamish in 4 Weddings and a Funeral, Gareth claims to one of the guests that he can obtain the fax number of which famous writer?
Oscar Wilde.
Yes, Rowan Atkinson's accident-prone gallery attendant in the film Bean believes that Leonardo da Vinci was an American player of which sport?
Basketball.
Yes, in Notting Hill, the bookshop owner Will agrees with a journalist from Time Out that Anna Scott's latest film, Helix, could be described as Close Encounters meets what French period drama film?
Jean de Florette.
Yes, in Bridget Jones's diary, Bridget is required to slide down a pole at which fire station in southeast London?
Lewisham.
Yes, in Love Actually, when the recently married Juliet, played by Keira Knightley, shows up at the best man Mark's flat, she offers him chocolate and a slice of what dessert?
Banoffee pie.
Yes, in the film Trash, Jose Angelo, the assistant to the corrupt politician Antonio Santos, smuggles incriminating evidence out of the compound by hiding it in what kitchen appliance?
Fridge freezer.
Yes, in The Boat That Rocked, the Radio Rock newsreader John tells his listeners that Simon and Eleanor are separating after only 17 hours of marriage. For what precise reason?
Pass.
When the German brothers Michael and Gunther are captured following desertion from the army, they are hiding with the war horses Joey and Topthorn in what type of building?
Windmill.
Yes, in About Time. What's the title of the song described by Tim's time-travelling father as the greatest record ever recorded by an Italian who looks like he's wearing a dead badger on his head?
Il Mondo.
Yes, in Yesterday, when the aspiring musician Jack Malik is asked what Liverpool has that Los Angeles doesn't, he replies, Cilla Black, Mushy Peas, Rain, and which football player?
George Best.
No, Mo Salah. What alliterative nickname does Charles give his former girlfriend Veronica in 4 Weddings and a Funeral?
Vomiting Veronica.
Yes, the art gallery curator David Langley in the film Bean describes which rock singer as someone who has had 2 great hairstyles in the last 10 years, but knows absolutely nothing about 19th century Impressionism.
John Bon Jovi.
Yes, it is John Bon Jovi. And Claire, you had one pass in the boat that rocked. Simon and Eleanor are separating after only 17 hours because of musical differences. And at the end of that round, Claire, you've scored 11 points. And to our final contender, please. Your name?
Will Vince.
And your occupation?
Data analyst.
And your chosen specialist subject?
Joseph Rowntree.
Yes, the Quaker philanthropist and social reformer from York, known for his chocolate-making company. In 2 minutes, starting now. The family grocery shop where Joseph Rowntree was born, grew up and later worked was on which street in York city centre?
Pavement.
Yes. What was the name of Rowntree's headmaster who travelled to Ireland with him and his father and brother during the Great Famine, where Joseph witnessed scenes of poverty that stayed with him all his life?
John Ford.
Yes, Rowntree left the family grocery shop in 1869 in order to join a struggling cocoa and chocolate-making business that was owned and managed by which of his brothers?
Henry Isaac Rowntree.
Yes, which educational movement established by Quakers did the Rowntree support in York, with Joseph teaching a weekly class from the age of 21 until he was almost 60?
The Adult School.
Yes, what name after the small street by the River Ouse where it was located was given to the cocoa factory that became Rowntree's workplace in 1869?
Tanner's Moat.
Yes, what was the name of the French confectioner who, in 1879, introduced gum and pastel making to Rowntree, starting a line of very profitable products for the company?
Claude Gaget.
Yes, in 1896, Rowntree appointed a women's welfare officer for his workforce, who went on to serve the company in this pioneering role for more than 20 years. What was her name?
Wood.
Yes, Mary Wood. What was the name of the co-author of Rowntree's book, The Temperance Problem and Social Reform, published in 1899?
Arthur Sherwell.
Yes, when Rowntree set up a groundbreaking pension fund for the company employees in 1906, what sum of money did he contribute out of his own pocket to ensure its success?
£10,000.
Yes, what's the name of the mental health hospital in York, known for its innovative emphasis on the humane treatment of its patients, where Rowntree served as a committee member and chairman for many years?
The Retreat.
Yes, the Rowntrees planned a model village at New Earswick to improve the living conditions of their workers, and in 1902 appointed a design partnership comprising Richard Barry Parker and which other architect?
Raymond Unwin.
Yes, what was the name of Rowntree's Pure Cocoa Essence, a key product that was only belatedly launched in 1887 because of Rowntree's caution in investing in new machinery?
Elect Cocoa.
Yes, Elect Cocoa. And Will, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you've scored 12 points.
Thank you.
And it's a pretty tight race at the end of the specialist subjects round. Let's have a look at the scores. In fourth place with 7 points, it's Lynn. In third place with 10 points comes Joe. In second place with 11 points, it's Claire. And in first place with 12 points, it's Will. So now the general knowledge round. And if there's a tie at the end, then the number of passes is taken into account and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, it's a tie break. So let's ask Lynn to join us again, please. So Lynn, you start with 7 points. You've now got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Starting now. In the name of a ventilation system used to maintain a comfortable temperature in a building or vehicle, the letters AC stand for what?
Air conditioning.
Yes. Who received his second nomination for a Best Actor Oscar for his performance as the hitman Vincent Vega in the 1994 film Pulp Fiction?
John Travolta.
Yes. In 1999, Mohammed VI succeeded his father, Hassan II, as the king of which North African country?
Morocco.
Yes, in the nursery rhyme that begins, Monday's child is fair of face, which day's child is said to be full of woe?
Thursday.
No, Wednesday. Which American singer, sometimes called the Queen of Disco, had UK hit singles in the 1970s with Love to Love You Baby and I Feel Love?
Donna Summer.
Yes, the port of Whitby in northeast England is noted for the production of jewellery made from which locally sourced semi-precious gemstone?
Opal.
No, Jet. What long-distance race is named after the battle site in Greece, from where Phidippides ran to Athens with news of a victory over the Persians in 490 BC?
Marathon.
Yes. Which television sitcom about the challenges of parenting was first shown in 2016 and stars Anna Maxwell Martin and Diane Morgan, among others?
Motherland.
Yes. What name, after a 19th century German physicist, is given to the SI units of magnetic flux?
Pass.
Which author wrote the Twilight series of novels about a character named Bella Swan and her vampire boyfriend, Edward Cullen?
Pass.
In the song Do Re Mi from The Sound of Music, which note is defined as a long, long way to run?
Pass.
Winterreise or Winter Journey is the title of a series of 24 songs for male voice and piano written in 1827 by which Austrian composer?
Liszt.
No, Franz Schubert. Diary of a Genius is a volume of autobiography by which Spanish surrealist artist?
Dali.
Yes, a slither is a leather-covered cork ball used in which Irish sport?
Curling.
No, hurling. Which Prime Minister of France, who was in office twice between 1906 and 1920, was nicknamed the Tiger?
Pass.
In 2016, a US district judge named George King ruled that what song regularly sung at children's parties should be in the public domain and no longer subject to royalty payments?
Happy Birthday.
Yes, before the publication of his first novel, which future Nobel laureate worked as an ambulance driver for the American Red Cross during the First World War and as a correspondent for the Toronto Star newspaper?
John Steinbeck.
No, Ernest Hemingway. Lynn, you had 4 passes. The Prime Minister of France, who was in office twice between 1906 and 1920, Georges Clemenceau. In the song Do Re Mi from The Sound of Music, a long, long way to run is far. Yes. Which author wrote the Twilight series of novels about a character named Bella Swan? Stephanie Meyer. And Weber is the name that was given to the SI unit of magnetic flux. And at the end of that round, Lynn, you now have a total of 15 points. And next up, let's have Joe again, please. So, Joe, you start with 10 points. The score to beat, as it stands, is 15 points, and you've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. Starting now. In 1983, it became compulsory in the UK for all drivers and front seat passengers to use what safety device?
A seatbelt.
Yes, the name of which reptile, noted for its ability to change the colour of its skin, is derived from ancient Greek words for on the ground and lion?
Chameleon.
Yes, in a professional ice hockey match, how many players from each team are allowed on the ice at any one time?
6.
Yes, a large painful lump at the joint nearest to the base of the big toe caused by the medical condition hallux valgus is commonly known by what name?
Bunion.
Yes. What's the canine-sounding stage name of the American rapper Armando Perez, who has topped the UK singles chart in collaborations with the singers Jennifer Lopez and Kesha, among others?
Snoop Dogg.
No, Pitbull. Which Canadian province is bordered by the United States to the south, Ontario to the east, and Saskatchewan to the west?
Ottawa.
No, Manitoba. The title of which television soap opera is also the name of the fictional village in the Yorkshire Dales where it's set?
Emmerdale.
Yes, which court building in London stands on what was the site of Newgate Prison?
The Old Bailey.
Yes, what's the title of the acclaimed 1922 silent horror film made in Germany, starring Max Schreck as a vampire?
Nosferatu.
Yes, in Greek mythology, Achilles was killed in battle by an arrow that was guided into his heel by Apollo after being fired by which Trojan prince?
Hector.
No, Paris. The Bessemer process, patented in the 1850s by Sir Henry Bessemer, is a method of manufacturing what alloy?
Stainless steel.
Yes, steel. In the abbreviation UHT, often applied to milk that has been treated at a very high temperature to extend its shelf life, the letter U stands for what word?
Ultra.
Yes, which British author wrote the 1895 novel The Time Machine?
H.G. Wells.
Yes, Russian wolfhound is an alternative name for what breed of dog descended from the Arabian greyhound?
Lurcher.
No, Borzoi. What 1941 Disney animation about a flying elephant was remade as a live-action film directed by Tim Burton in 2019?
Dumbo.
Yes, a headstone in the graveyard of St. George's Church in York marks the burial place of which notorious highwayman who was hanged in 1739?
Dick Turpin.
Yes, which 1956 Act of Parliament passed in the aftermath of the Great Smog in London placed restrictions on the emission of smoke?
Clean Air Act?
Yes, which French tennis player, who was notable at the time for her flamboyant behaviour and unconventional dress on court, won 6 Wimbledon singles titles between 1919 and 1925 and was known in the French press as La Divine or the Goddess?
Pass.
I can tell you it's Suzanne Lenglen. And at the end of that round, Joe, you now have a total of 23 points.
Thank you.
And next up, let's have Claire again, please. So, Claire, you start with 11 points. The score to beat, as it stands, is 23 points, and you've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge, starting now. Chimpanzees are native to which continent?
Africa.
Yes, in the 2021 World Snooker Championship, which player won his 4th title when he beat Shaun Murphy in the final?
Ronnie O'Sullivan.
No, Mark Selby. Which political leader was the father of Indira Gandhi, who was the Prime Minister of India until her assassination in 1984?
Pass.
The butcher Hilary Briss, the employment training officer Pauline Campbell-Jones, and the joke shop owner Lance Longthorne are characters in which television comedy series?
At the League of Gentlemen.
Yes. What name, incorporating part of the Latin for by itself, is given to the symbol used in print to represent the word and?
Ampersand.
Yes. In the Dirty Harry films of the 1970s and 80s starring Clint Eastwood, what is Harry's surname?
Pass.
Which of the world's 5 oceans is the largest, both by surface area and by volume?
Pacific.
Yes. The 2008 book, Preza, My Story, Pulling No Punches, is an autobiography of which Labour politician?
John Prescott.
Yes. Which of the Bronte sisters died in March 1855, less than a year after her marriage to the Reverend Arthur Bell Nichols?
Emily.
No, Charlotte. Which electronic dance music duo comprising the brothers Guy and Howard Lawrence had consecutive UK #1 albums with Settle in 2013 and Caracol in 2050?
Daft Punk.
No, Disclosure. Which Scottish-born sea captain was hanged in London in 1701 after being accused of piracy, with his legend giving rise to stories of buried treasure?
Blackbeard.
No, William Kidd. In April 1912, the American journalist Harriet Quimby became the first woman to make a successful solo flight across which body of water?
The Atlantic Ocean.
No, the English Channel. Which long-running West End musical features the songs Voulez-Vous, SOS, and Knowing Me, Knowing You?
Mamma Mia.
Yes. The US Bullion Depository, built in 1936 to house the country's gold reserves, is within which military installation in Kentucky?
Fort Knox.
Yes, the history lecturer James Dixon is the title character of what 1954 novel by Kingsley Amis?
Pass.
Which battle fought in Charlestown, Massachusetts on the 17th of June 1775 was the first major engagement of the American Revolution?
Little Bighorn.
No, the Battle of Bunker Hill. Which character created by Roald Dahl has been played in feature films in 1971 by Gene Wilder and in 2005 by Johnny Depp?
Willy Wonka.
Yes, the chemical element with the atomic number 97 was discovered by scientists, I've started so I'll finish, at the University of California, and is named after which city near San Francisco in which the university is based?
Berkeley.
Yes, it's Berkeley. And Claire, you had 3 passes. The history lecturer James Dixon is the title character of Lucky Jim by Kingsley Amis. Dirty Harry Callahan is the name of Clint Eastwood's character. And Pandit Nehru was the father of Indira Gandhi. And at the end of that round, Claire, you now have a total of 20 points. And finally, we have Will again, please. So, Will, you start with 12 points. The score to beat to get through to the semi-finals is Joe's 23 points, and you've got 2.5 minutes on general knowledge, starting now. Tassie is an informal name for which Australian state?
Tasmania.
Yes, which Northern Irish university is sometimes known by the initials UU?
University of Ulster.
Yes. Christchurch Cathedral, the seat of the spiritual leader of the Church of England, is in which city?
Canterbury.
Yes, a horse named Bucephalus, who died in 326 BC, was the favourite mount of which military leader and king?
Alexander the Great.
Yes. Which singer starred in the 1984 film Purple Rain and had his first UK hit album with the soundtrack?
Prince.
Yes. What French phrase that translates literally as face to face can be used in English to mean in relation to or compared with?
Vis-a-vis.
Yes. Which park in Manhattan, in New York City, was designed in the 1850s by the architects Frederick Law Armstead and Calvert Vaux?
Central Park.
Yes. In a children's novel by Johanna Spyri, published in the 1880s, what's the first name of the young girl sent to live with her grandfather in the Swiss Alps?
Pollyanna.
No, Heidi. What Latin word for hammer is the medical name for one of 3 small bones in the middle ear?
Stapes.
No, Malleus. Which football association was founded in 1895 but wasn't admitted to UEFA as a member nation until 2013, when the team had its first recognised international match, a 0-0 draw against Slovakia, played in Portugal?
Montenegro.
No, Gibraltar. The British actor William Henry Pratt, who found fame as the monster in the 1931 film version of Frankenstein, was known professionally by what name?
Boris Karloff.
Yes, the title of a nonsense poem by Lewis Carroll, subtitled An Agony in 8 Fits, refers to the hunting of which creature?
Snark.
Yes, which English pottery manufacturer introduced his jasperware in 1775, the original design being a pale blue stoneware with an applied white relief decoration?
Wedgwood.
Yes, a stage musical based on which long-running BBC sitcom opened in the West End in 2019 with Paul Whitehouse in the role of Grandad?
Only Fools and Horses.
Yes, which DC Comics character introduced in 1941 is an Amazonian warrior who was born Diana Prince on Paradise Island?
Xena.
No, Wonder Woman. The French culinary term Veronique describes dishes served with what fruit?
Apple.
No, grapes. And Will, you had no passes, and at the end of that round, you have a total of 23 points.
Thank you.
So let's have a look at the final scores. In 4th place with 15 points, it's Lynn. In 3rd place with 20 points, it's Claire. In 2nd place with 23 points and 2 passes, it's Joe. Which means by a squeak in 1st place with 23 points and no passes is Will. He goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. Now, if you'd like to be a contender in the next series, please go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us at Mastermind Quiz. Join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Can't really believe I've won, to be honest. I'm absolutely ecstatic. I actually thought I hadn't won. I knew that Joe would put up a really good score.
With 23 points and 2 passes, it's Joe.
I knew that I hadn't had any passes, so I knew at that point I must have won. It was a real shock, to be honest, but yeah, a very pleasant one.